You have been giving away your power your entire life without even realizing it. Every single time you fired back at an insult someone threw at you, every time you begged an ignorant person to understand your perspective, every single moment you bled your mental energy trying to fix toxic individuals, you handed them a piece of your soul, a piece of your authority, and a piece of your peace. And they devoured it without a second thought today. That vulnerability dies. Look back at your past interactions, the late-night overthinking, the crafted text messages, the burning sensation in your chest when someone disrespected you, and ask yourself what any of that defense actually achieved. You thought you were standing up for yourself. You thought you were proving your strength. You thought that by explaining your intentions, you could force people to see your value. But in reality, you were bleeding out. You were stripping away your own royalty to fight in the mud with people who had nothing to lose. Most people live on emotional autopilot. Someone attacks them. They react. Someone doubts them. They explain. Someone tries to drain them. They open the door and allow it. They mistake defense for strength and loud arguments for dominance. But the real power players, the individuals who shape outcomes and move through the world completely unbothered, operate on a completely different frequency. They don't react. They don't justify themselves, and they don't waste a single second on people who don't matter. They guard their focus like a sacred vault, because Machiavelli recognized a fundamental truth 500 years ago that most human beings still fail to grasp today. Power isn't about being the loudest voice in the room. Power isn't about beating your chest or winning petty debates on street corners or social media comment sections. Power is quiet, power is selective, power is deeply strategic, and over the next few minutes, your entire framework of human interaction is going to shift permanently. You are about to uncover 7 lethal psychological principles that will teach you how to dominate without confrontation, how to win without firing a single emotional shot, and how to become completely untouchable simply by choosing when, how, and to whom you reveal your presence. This isn't about being cruel. This isn't about becoming a cold, heartless sociopath. This is about self-preservation. This is about reclaiming the steering wheel of your own life and operating from a place of absolute sovereignty instead of endless, exhausting reaction. Think about every person who commands true reverence in this world. Think about the most magnetic leaders, the most formidable strategists, the individuals whose very entry into a room changes the atmosphere. What do they all have in common? They are scarce. They do not hand out their energy freely. They do not respond to every dog that barks at their heels. They understand that their attention is an asset of infinite value, and they treat it accordingly. Let us begin with the first rule of absolute dominance. Your attention is the most valuable currency on earth, and the moment you distribute it carelessly, you bankrupt your aura every single day. You are handed a finite amount of emotional bandwidth and mental focus. Just like money, every time you cast your attention toward a person, a drama, or an insult, you are making an investment. You are spending your life force on that situation. And just like any high-level investor, you must begin asking one brutal, cold question before you spend a single drop of your mind. What am I getting in return for this? Look around you at how the average person operates. A hater leaves a bitter comment, and they spend 3 hours crafting the perfect reply. A toxic family member starts artificial drama, and they spend their entire weekend stressed, playing scenarios over and over in their head. A disingenuous acquaintance throws passive, aggressive shade, and they lie awake at 3 in the morning wondering what they did wrong. What did any of those people give back in exchange for that massive expenditure of life energy? Absolute zero. Nothing except frustration, depleted reserves, and wasted time. Machiavelli understood that the individual who controls where their attention goes controls their entire reality. When you hand someone your attention, you are surrendering your remote control to them. You are giving them permission to adjust your mood, raise your heart rate, ruin your appetite, and dictate your thoughts. Think about the energy vampires in your orbit right now. The ones who always seem to have a crisis, the ones who only reach out when they need to dump their psychological garbage into your lap. The ones who feed off your empathy while offering absolutely nothing of substance in return. Have they ever elevated your life? Have they ever helped you build your empire? Have they added a single layer of real peace to your existence? The answer is no. Yet day after day, you continue to hand them the key to your mental sanctuary simply because you haven't learned the art of extreme selectivity. The most formidable human beings build an impenetrable psychological filter. Not everyone gets access to their space. Not everyone gets a response to their message. Not everyone gets a second of their precious time. They stand at the gate of their own consciousness and demand credentials. Does this person deserve my bandwidth? Does this situation warrant my energy? And if the answer is no, they turn away instantly. No hesitation, no explanations, no guilt, and no second thoughts. This is precisely where weak minds falter. Weak minds carry a subconscious desperation to be liked by everyone. They operate under the delusion that they owe the world an explanation for their boundaries. They believe that failing to respond makes them look bad, rude, or defensive. But the exact opposite is true. Ignoring the unworthy does not make you weak. It makes you royalty. It demonstrates to the universe and everyone watching that your energy is not cheap. It proves that you cannot be summoned by anyone who happens to snap their fingers. Imagine someone sending you a deeply disrespectful, baiting message intended to shatter your peace. Your primal, unrefined instinct is to fire back immediately, to put them in their place, to lay out the facts, and to win the argument. But what did you actually achieve the moment you hit send? You surrendered. You gave them the exact reaction they were begging for. You validated their existence by letting them know they had enough power to disrupt your day. Now, imagine a completely different reality. You read the insult, feel absolutely zero spike in your pulse, delete the message, and carry on building your life without giving it another thought. What happens inside the mind of the attacker? The dynamic completely reverses. They sit in silence, staring at their screen, wondering why their weapon failed. They check to see if you read it. They wonder if you are plotting something. They replay their own attack, feeling smaller and smaller by the minute, while you move through your day unbothered. That is the raw, terrifying power of guarded attention. You become an impenetrable fortress, opening the drawbridge only for those who have proven their worth. This brings us directly to the second rule of psychological dominance. Silence is your sharpest, most lethal weapon. Why are weak minds so profoundly terrified of silence? Because they operate under the tragic delusion that silence equals surrender. They believe that if they do not defend themselves, if they do not trade blow for blow, if they do not secure the last word in an argument, then somehow they have lost the battle. They are trapped in a superficial reality where loudness is mistaken for authority. But here is the foundational truth of human dynamics that will alter your life forever. Silence is the most aggressive, soul-crushing move you can ever make against an adversary. Think about what actually occurs during a verbal confrontation. When someone hurls an insult or an accusation at you, and you immediately fire back with your own emotional tirade, you have willingly walked into their domain. You are playing by their rules, stepping onto their stage, and feeding off the exact toxic momentum they created. You have granted them a battle, and in doing so, you have validated their standing as a worthy opponent. But when you meet their chaos with absolute stone-cold silence, the entire landscape transforms in an instant. The psychological battlefield collapses under their feet. The power shifts entirely into your hands, leaving them standing there looking absurd, shouting at an empty void and receiving zero feedback for their hostility. Machiavelli observed this dynamic repeatedly among the elite courts of Renaissance Europe. He watched countless men of great intellect destroy their own leverage simply by talking too much, explaining too much, and reacting too quickly to every ambient rumor. And he noted with cold precision that the leaders who rose to absolute supremacy were those who mastered the terrifying art of silence. Silence communicates something that words can never replicate: pure, unadulterated indifference. Silence looks your attacker in the eyes and says without speaking, "You are so far beneath my standard that your attempts to provoke me do not even register as noise." And that specific realization destroys a person's ego far more ruthlessly than any clever comeback ever could. When you respond to an attack, you validate the attacker. You confirm that what they said carried enough weight to penetrate your psyche and compel you to construct a defense. You are admitting that they got under your skin. But when you offer nothing, you plunge them into a vacuum of psychological uncertainty. They are left alone with their own toxicity, frantically questioning themselves. Did you notice their attack? Did it hurt you? Are you preparing a counterstrike? Or do you simply find them so entirely irrelevant that you forgot about them 5 seconds later? They will never know. And that missing piece of information will erode their composure from the inside out. There are people who will spend days, weeks, and even months obsessing over why someone refused to engage with them. They replay the interaction thousands of times, manufacturing endless scenarios, completely breaking their own peace. All because of your refusal to speak, that is psychological dominance achieved without firing a single shot. Furthermore, most people fail to realize that the more you talk, the more ammunition you hand over to your enemies. Every single word that leaves your mouth is intelligence. Every explanation you offer exposes what you care about. Every defense reveals your insecurities, and every emotional outburst shows the exact coordinates of your triggers. When you explain yourself to people who were never planning to understand you anyway, you are laying your weapons at their feet and showing them precisely where to strike next. Silence, however, denies them all data. They cannot twist your words because you uttered none. They cannot weaponize your emotions because you displayed none. They are left completely blind, striking at shadows while you sit in absolute control. This does not mean you become a mute who never engages with the world. Your voice is a tool of immense influence, but it must be deployed with surgical precision. When you do speak, your words should carry the weight of an iron vault opening, simply because you do not waste them on meaningless noise. People listen intently to the individual who speaks rarely because they know every sentence is calculated and intentional. Silence is not weakness. Silence is absolute restraint. Silence is self-mastery. And silence is a blade that never misses its target. This leads directly into the third rule. Withdraw strategically, never isolate completely. This is where the majority of self-improvement enthusiasts completely misinterpret the nature of social power. They believe the ultimate goal is to become an isolated hermit, to cut off the world entirely, move to a dark room, and act like a mysterious shadow that nobody can ever reach. That is not power. That is cowardice disguised as mystery. Real commanding power comes from the art of strategic withdrawal. It is the ability to be physically present in the room while remaining emotionally untouchable. It is the wisdom to show up when it benefits your vision and to pull your energy back the moment it no longer serves your purpose. It is about making people feel the heavy, undeniable weight of your absence, even while you are standing right in front of them. Consider the fundamental laws of economics. Value is determined entirely by supply and demand. Anything that is hyperabundant, constantly available, and easily accessible instantly loses its worth. If a resource is everywhere, nobody respects it, nobody preserves it, and nobody pays a premium for it. Human attention functions under the exact same law. When you make yourself endlessly available, responding to every message within 3 seconds, agreeing to every invitation, always staying accessible to anyone who wants your time, you crash your own value, you become predictable, comfortable, and eventually entirely taken for granted. You transition from a priority into a passive background element in other people's lives. Strategic withdrawal flips this dynamic on its head. It is the deliberate creation of scarcity around your presence and your energy. You remain active in the world, but you control the valve. Sometimes you are warm and engaged. Sometimes you are distant and reserved. Sometimes you are available. Sometimes your schedule is completely impenetrable. You are present, but your soul is guarded. This unpredictability breeds a powerful psychological phenomenon in those around you. Subtle, escalating obsession. Human beings do not obsess over things that are fully secured. They obsess over things that feel slippery, rare, and slightly out of reach. Machiavelli noted how the most enduring sovereigns maintain their hold on the masses, not by parading through the streets every afternoon, but by making their public appearances rare, deliberate, and momentous. They understood that if the public saw them every day, the illusion of supreme majesty would fade into mundane familiarity. The same rule applies to your personal and professional relationships. When you drop everything the moment someone calls, you train them to view you as a backup plan. But when you are fiercely protective of your time, when you demonstrate that your life operates on a grander schedule than their fleeting demands, you force them to adjust to your rhythm. Your presence becomes an event, your attention becomes a privilege, and your boundaries become your ultimate source of influence. You do not need to retreat from society. You simply need to force society to work harder to keep you in it. This seamless control over your presence leads us directly into the fourth rule, the mind-breaking effect of total disregard. Have you ever analyzed what actually occurs inside the human brain when it is completely unceremoniously ignored. It experiences an immediate descent into psychological chaos. The human mind is fundamentally hardwired to search for patterns, to demand closure, and to resolve unanswered questions. When someone hurls a baiting action at you, an insult, a passive, aggressive jab, a public slight, their brain creates a setup that desperately demands a punchline. They are expecting a counterstroke. They need a reaction to validate the effort they spent trying to disturb your peace. When you deny them that reaction, when you act as though their attempt at provocation did not even register as a ripple in your consciousness, their internal framework short-circuits. There is no closure, no justification, no counter-argument, and no battle to be won. There is only an empty, cold, deafening void, and that void becomes an open wound inside their mind that bleeds away their composure. While they burn through vast amounts of mental currency trying to decode your silence, crafting complex narratives about why you didn't react, you are moving through your day completely unbothered, focused entirely on your own advancement. You are not even on the battlefield they tried to create, yet they are bleeding out on it alone. Machiavelli observed this psychological destruction in the court politics of his era. He watched ambitious, reckless figures launch public attacks against seasoned power players, attempting to drag them into exhausting political feuds. The weak targets took the bait, launched offenses, counterattacked, and tied their fates to their enemies in endless cycles of mutual destruction. But the true masters of power simply acted as though their attackers did not exist. They allowed those enemies to exhaust their resources, alienate their allies, and burn through their own credibility until they eventually destroyed themselves through their own unreciprocated obsession. Consider the raw power of total erasure when someone tries to hurt you. They want you angry. They want you defending your honor. They want you obsessed with them. If you take the bait and fight back, even if you win the argument with brilliant logic, they still won the war because they successfully pulled you into their orbit. They forced you to spend your emotional energy on their terms. But when you ignore them completely, when you don't even acknowledge the message, look through them as if they are made of glass, or carry on your conversation without skipping a beat, you deliver a message that is far more lethal than any insult. You do not exist in my reality. That complete erasure strikes directly at the human ego, proving that they possess zero leverage over your world. This brings us to the fifth rule of Machiavellian self-mastery: erase the unworthy completely and ruthlessly. You must understand that not everyone in your environment deserves the same method of dismissal. To operate with surgical efficiency, you must categorize the toxic entities in your life into three distinct groups, applying the exact level of cold elimination each one requires. The first category consists of your active saboteurs. These are not merely people who disagree with your views. These are individuals who actively plot against your progress, spread deliberate falsehoods, and work behind the scenes to tear down what you are building. The average person makes the fatal error of trying to expose these people publicly, seeking dramatic justice and arguing to clear their name. Machiavelli would tell you that engaging with an enemy on that level elevates them to your status. Instead, ignore their narrative entirely, refuse to give them a platform, and focus every ounce of your intellect on building an empire so massive, so undeniable, and so successful that their lies are rendered completely absurd by your reality. Let your absolute triumph be their quiet, daily torture while they watch you rise from the sidelines. The second category comprises the chronic critics. These are the perpetual spectators of life who produce nothing, risk nothing, and build nothing, yet sit comfortably in the bleachers, passing judgment on those who are in the arena doing the actual work. Critics feed entirely on the attention of the creator. Without someone to criticize, their voice has no value and their existence carries no weight. When you attempt to reason with a critic, defend your decisions, or prove your competence to them, you are feeding them the exact life force they need to survive. Starve them, cut off their supply of your reaction. Let them shout their opinions into an empty abyss while you continue executing your vision undisturbed. The third, and by far the most dangerous category, consists of the energy parasites. These individuals do not come at you with overt hostility or loud criticism. They arrive disguised as friends, allies, or victims in constant distress. They bring a perpetual cloud of artificial drama, endless personal crises, and heavy emotional burdens, begging for your counsel, your time, and your empathy. Because you possess character, you lend a hand. But you soon discover a terrifying truth. Their crises never end, their problems are never solved, and they have zero interest in actual solutions. They are addicted to the energy you burn while trying to save them. They will bleed your focus dry, ruin your mood, and make you feel guilty the moment you attempt to set a boundary. Eliminating energy parasites is not an act of selfishness. It is a fundamental act of survival. You cannot build a great life if your foundation is constantly being drained by people who refuse to build their own. You must cut all three categories out of your life, not with loud, dramatic confrontations, not with emotional exit speeches, but with silent, permanent, absolute exclusion. Stop answering their calls, stop attending their drama, block their access to your personal space, and treat them as though they have ceased to exist. Your time on this earth is strictly limited. Your mental capacity is finite. Do not waste a single grain of your sands of time on individuals who contribute nothing to your growth, your peace, or your legacy. This absolute purging of toxic elements brings us to the sixth rule of strategic power: build the armor of indifference. The reason people can manipulate you, disrupt your days, and control your behavior isn't because they possess immense power over you. It is because you have failed to forge your armor. And that armor is built entirely of unshakable indifference. We must be crystal clear about what real indifference actually means. Indifference is not pretending to be an unfeeling machine, nor is it living in a state of cynical apathy where nothing matters. Real indifference is the absolute mastery over what is allowed to alter your internal emotional state and what is cast aside as meaningless background noise. It is being so profoundly anchored in your self-worth, your purpose, and your personal mission that external chaos simply bounces off your surface without leaving a mark. Most human beings live as emotional hostages. They walk through the world with their nerves exposed to the open air. Someone throws a subtle disrespect their way, and their entire day is ruined. Someone questions their motives, and they spend the next 48 hours filled with anxiety, constructing frantic explanations. Someone leaves a critical remark and their self-esteem collapses. Their emotional state is completely dictated by the random opinions, moods, and actions of people around them. That is not living in strength, that is living in psychological servitude. Machiavelli watched countless rulers and military commanders fall from power, not because they lacked resources or tactical armies, but because they lacked emotional control. Their unpredictable anger made their strategies transparent. Their fragile pride made them easy to bait into foolish traps. Their desperate need to be validated by the public rendered them completely easy to manipulate. Their political enemies simply identified their emotional triggers and pulled those levers to destroy them from within. The leaders who survived, conquered, and established lasting legacies were those who wore emotional armor so thick that no insult, rumor, or attack could penetrate their internal calm building. This armor requires you to perform a cold, honest audit of your own triggers. Ask yourself right now, what makes me defensive? What compels me to explain myself? What makes my blood boil? Those triggers are the precise cracks in your armor. They are the vulnerabilities that manipulative individuals will exploit the moment they locate them. If your trigger is a deep fear of being labeled lazy, the moment someone hints at your lack of effort, you will immediately launch into defense mode, listing everything you've accomplished, handing them complete control over your mood and your time. If your trigger is a terror of being misunderstood, you will spend hours begging disingenuous people to see your heart, bleeding out your dignity for their validation. You must eliminate these triggers, not by running away from uncomfortable situations, but by becoming completely indifferent to the opinions of those who hold no authority over your destiny. When someone calls you lazy, but you know your discipline is ironclad, their assessment becomes entirely irrelevant. No response is required. When someone intentionally misunderstands your path, realize that people view the world through the lens of their own limitations. Let them hold their flawed perception while you continue executing. When someone attempts to disrespect you, recognize that their behavior is a confession of their own internal chaos, carrying zero weight on your actual value. Indifference does not mean you do not feel the initial sting. It means you choose precisely how much power that sting is allowed to have over your actions. You step into the driver's seat of your own consciousness, refusing to hand the steering wheel to anyone else. This brings us to the ultimate highest tier of strategic mastery, ascending through calculated inaction. The average person operates under the foolish delusion that power is always defined by action, by working harder in public view, fighting every battle, shouting louder, constantly proving their worth, and asserting their dominance through physical effort. But Machiavelli understood a sublime truth that separates master strategists from frantic casualties. Sometimes the most devastatingly powerful move you can make is no move at all. Calculated inaction is the subtle art of winning by refusing to participate in the battle. It is the deep realization that certain conflicts are won, not by swinging your blade, but by stepping off the field entirely and letting your opponents destroy themselves against their own shadows. It is the patience to conserve your vital energy while lesser minds burn themselves out, fighting battles that lead nowhere. Consider how this plays out in real time. Someone begins spreading false narratives about your character. The unrefined reaction is to panic, call everyone you know, issue public denials, and engage in an exhausting war of words to protect your reputation. The strategic master of calculated inaction does nothing. They do not issue a statement. They do not drop their standard. They do not alter their routine by a single millimeter. They continue walking with total integrity, producing exceptional results, and building their vision. Over time, the contrast between their actual life and the hollow rumors becomes so glaringly obvious that the lie collapses under its own weight, leaving the rumor monger looking pathetic and untrustworthy, all without the master spending a single drop of energy. Consider another scenario. An individual tries to spark an aggressive competition with you. They mimic your work, make subtle jabs about outdoing you, and try to pull you into a rivalry. The reactive person takes the bait, alters their plans to stay ahead, and constantly checks on the competitor's progress. The master of calculated inaction simply acts as though the competition does not exist. They remain completely locked into their own lane, innovating according to their own internal vision. While the competitor is burning mental capacity studying, copying, and trying to outmaneuver them, the master is creating a gap so vast that it can never be closed. Not because they tried to beat the competitor, but because they refuse to acknowledge the race in the first place. That is the supreme power of calculated inaction. You command magnetic authority without confrontation. You shift social dynamics without raising your voice. People become deeply fascinated by you because you are entirely unmanipulatable. They cannot predict your moves because you do not react the way the rest of the world does. They cannot leverage your emotions because your armor is solid. They cannot compete with you because you play on a completely different board. Your silence becomes legendary, your presence becomes heavy with authority, and your absence creates a vacuum that commands absolute respect, while the rest of the world is running around exhausting their vital spirit on petty squabbles, artificial internet drama, and desperate attempts to prove their worth to people who do not matter. You are quietly conserving your energy. You are directing your focus into building real strength, acquiring true knowledge, and constructing an untouchable life. You do not ascend by stepping on others or fighting in the dirt. You ascend by refusing to lower your standards to levels that do not serve your vision. You reign through absolute self-control. These 7 Machiavellian laws are not passive theories to read once and forget. They are ironclad principles of human psychological dynamic. But they will only transform your life if you possess the raw discipline to apply them ruthlessly starting right now. The next time someone tries to bait you into an emotional reaction, hold your ground and stay silent. The next time someone demands an explanation for your personal choices, offer nothing. The next time you feel the urge to defend your honor to an unworthy audience, step back and execute indifference. From this second forward, your life changes. You step into absolute authority. You move in silence, operate with precision, and guard your attention, like pure gold. If this deep dive provided real value to your path of self-mastery, make sure to like this video, share it with those who need to reclaim their sovereignty, and subscribe to Heartnest for more unmatched strategic psychology. You are untouchable now,